Welcome back to WMBC Hometown. The health Grinch of winter is descending upon us and spreading cold, flu, and sore throats all around. These common winter health ailments can halt holiday cheer unless you're properly prepared, says board-certified internal medicine physician Dr. Ken Redcross, who joins us right now. Dr. Redcross, thank you so much for coming back. We love having you.
I always love being here. And you're right, that health Grinch is here.
Yeah. So what are those common health ailments that we should look out for?
So we always know that this is the flu season, right? But what else do we deal with? We deal with colds and we deal with sore throats. So I'm here today to hopefully share some seasonal solutions that can make a big difference for everyone out there.
Yeah, so you said that big F word, flu. Oh no, how bad is influenza this year?
All right, guys, so I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is going to be a little bit of an aggressive one. In fact, this one is being termed the Aussie flu. It started a little bit earlier. Typically, we have the flu in October all the way out into May. This one started in actually late August, so this is a little bit of a bigger deal this year.
All right, and is it better, worse in our area for us specifically?
You know, the good thing is here in New Jersey, in this region, we're kind of blessed. It hasn't really gotten there yet. No widespread activity yet, but we want to make sure that we prepare. That's the key.
All right, so then what are those seasonal things we should try to avoid everything?
Well, obviously we need to start with the flu, and I think we're familiar with the symptoms at this point, Casey, right? Fever, chills, and it's those body aches when we know that we're dealing with the flu. But the good thing is there are some things that we can do. There was a newer study in a journal called Cell, and it showed that a modified fish oil actually had some activity against the flu virus. Now, it was on animal models so far, but we know omega-3 is good for so many other things, so I talked to patients about bringing fish oil in to help protect them. The other thing I love to talk about is a low-cost homeopathic remedy called oscillococcinum. Now, this is great because you and I were kind of off camera. We're like, I know this already. And the good thing here is that it helps shorten the duration of the flu-like symptoms when taken within the first 24 hours. And so it's a big deal. The other thing is what's happening during the season, Casey. We're out and we're always on the go. I wanted to show here that you can bring oscillococcinum with you. You don't need water, you don't need to do anything else but kind of pop that little vial there, and it makes it easy because it's good for kids 2 years of age and older, and also for those who are on multiple medications because there's no drug-to-drug interactions.
Great for everyone.
Absolutely.
All right, and what about this sockeye salmon that we have back here?
So we see the salmon here because that's once again realizing that if pills aren't your thing, that's okay. Let's try to get the fish oil through your diet as well. Food is medicine. It's very true when you hear that, so think about that. Now, not only are we talking about the flu, I also mentioned the cold. And one of the things that happens when you come to the office, you're like, Doc, I feel miserable. Do I have the cold or do I have the flu? You and I were also talking here, like, what is this? This is actually a rapid flu test. So you come into our offices, it only takes 15 minutes for us to know whether you have the flu or not, and that's a big deal. The other thing I brought here is an empty bottle here where antibiotics would typically go.
Okay.
That's to remind us, this is a no antibiotic zone. Antibiotics don't help with viruses, only bacteria. So don't be upset if your doctor doesn't send you out with a prescription because this will not help here at all.
I see. So how do we know if we wake up, we're feeling sick? Is it a common cold or is it something more serious?
Well, the common cold tends to be a little more relaxed in symptoms. In other words, you tend to have more upper respiratory, so runny nose, stuffy nose, more upper airway things to consider. So it's usually not as serious as the flu. You can kind of get around with your day. The upper respiratory symptoms are the reason why I have this nasal spray here. Very big deal and very helpful to help clear the nasal passages so that you can go about your day.
Okay. So what else do we have on the table for the flu, or is that kind of wrapping it up?
Well, these were the things that are mainly for the flu, and
Okay.
these are the cold because they go back and forth. Keep in mind, too, that when you're dealing with the flu, it's the influenza virus. When we're dealing with the colds, it can be adenovirus, the echo virus. They're different viruses, okay? So don't interchange the two.
I see. Okay. And what about that little tickle in the throat? We're feeling a little sore there. What can we do about it?
And this is the other hard part this time of year because when you're dealing with a sore throat, it can be a myriad of things. Typically, it's viral, but sometimes it can be bacterial as far as if you have a fever, also body aches sometimes, or exudates or pus in the back of your throat. That can be strep throat. And that's the only thing we're talking about today where antibiotics do have a place because it's actually a bacteria and it is amenable to treatment that way. Now, what I love most here, Casey, is that we have some things that are a little bit like mom's remedies that can make a big difference. Right here we have apple cider vinegar. The studies show if you have that, a little bit of warm water, and you gargle, it can make it very improve your throat because the bacteria and the viruses don't do so well in that particular environment. And last but not least, we have honey. Now, honey is great here because it's antibacterial, and it's also an osmotic, meaning that it helps to pull fluid out of the swollen tissue in our throat. So that you can also put in with tea also.
Great, so keeping it kind of natural, of course, for all those people who don't want to put too much when they're feeling sick, you don't want to take too many things, that's the way to go. But why do we have a phone on here? What is that all about?
We have the phone because one of the things that happens is patients will come to my office after they have a sore throat and they're like, Doc, now I'm losing my voice. What do I do? And I say, you know, this is the first time you're going to hear me say text instead of talk. I think we text too much, Casey.
Okay.
And so I say, you know, the best thing you could do is voice rest. And it really makes a huge difference for your vocal cords, especially if you're having a problem with a sore throat.
All right, is there anything else that you'd like to add? I think you hit all of the points so well, but is there anything we should know?
The other thing we should talk about here, we didn't because this could be very controversial, and that's the flu shot. I'll tell you this year. Now, while the flu shot is not as effective as it has been in other years, it's important that you get it for a couple of reasons. Number one, not just to keep from getting the flu, but it also decreases the severity should you actually get that. You also want to make sure you're protecting the older folks if they're in your home, and also your small children as well. So this is a year, especially with this Aussie flu, where you want to make sure you get vaccinated.
Thank you so much. Where can our audience kind of reach out to you for more information? We hit a lot of things, but they want to know more. Where should they go?
Absolutely, Casey. So my website is drredcross.com. Say hello on Facebook, which is Ken Redcross MD, and Twitter is @DrRedcross.
That was perfect. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
joining us. We
having me.
really appreciate it. And WMBC News will be right back after this.